Hello, Africa. Thanks so very much for keeping the rendezvous on this edition of Monuments on LTM Television. Live from Mankon in the Mankon division of the Northwest region of Cameroon, we celebrate the most educated foreigners of the Northwest region. Celebrate him because he has a big-hearted story of man, and we're a few months to his 90th anniversary. He has had the singular experience of celebrating the golden jubilee of his accession to the throne, a royal stool he had least expected to sit on when he recalls the hardships he suffered to acquire the financial and basic requisites of modern. The story of Fonangwafo III is a story of a traditional ruler who did not only have to reconcile tradition and modernity, but also monarchical rule and modern democratic governance. His decision, ladies and gentlemen, to run for a parliamentary seat in 1962 earned him the wrath of career politicians, including the late John Good Foncha, leader of the KNDP, of which Angwafo was a prominent member, because they felt that traditional leaders should not meddle in politics. The young Fon was not to be deterred. He felt Mankon people had been sidelined in politics and modern administration for too long, and a parliamentary position would enable him advance the interests of his tribe. After consultation of his people, he ran as an independent candidate and won against 4 candidates fielded by other political parties. Since then, fellow viewers of Monuments, the Fon had always represented the Mankon constituency in parliament. Under the various political dispensations, Cameroon has undergone since 1988, when he claimed to resign from politics. While the story of my life is a moving narrative of a farm-loving prince with a peculiar brand of humor marked by a not-so-cordial relationship with the Anglophone political class, with a glaring exception of Solomon Tandeng Muna, one gets the impression that the 70 pages of narrative were grossly disproportionate to the magnitude of the leadership space occupied by Fonangwafo in the past half-century. We celebrate this legacy in the history of Cameroon today because many people do not seem to sit on the throne like this able personality, who's not only been an example in the tradition of the Northwest region and Cameroon in general, but he's also been running the second position of the ruling party, the CPDM, for several years. Let's do it the traditional way and greet His Royal Majesty, S.A.N. Angwafo III. Thank you so very much, His Royal Majesty, for sparing time off your very busy schedule to talk to the viewers, itchy to know the secret behind the successful traditional ruler and politics. Royalty and politics, the story of my life, something we will talk about so that your story will be a source of inspiration to many young people out there who feel that they just have to get things very easy without really working hard to become successful. We'll start with your traditional life, His Royal Majesty. The Mankon people are known to be the great warriors, and you will still find names like Manto, I hope I'm pronouncing it well, Ndamto, Atangto, Fomonkong, Tamonkong, just to name but these. What do you say about all these, His Royal Majesty?
They are my ancestors. And of course, that's what we are. We're fighting people. I learned it from my parents. I'm not a fighter myself. I am a modern ruler. That's why we do administration, we do politics, we work to earn a living, and there's most of these things in order to change our tradition. And so we can talk of the politics of these days, not those days. It was war, and that's why my grandfather had to go to war with the Bali people, assisted by Dr. Zingraf in 1891. But today, it's a modern world, it's a changed world. So I am a modern fawn, a changed fawn.
What war strategies and types of weapons or defense systems did the Mankon people have that permitted them to fight such great battles, apart from ambushing, digging trenches, hiding the women, like some would say, and children? Did they use magical powers that could make them to disappear, or only physical strength and intelligence, as Royal Majesty?
Yes, they did. They used some powers, like in Mankon, a Yetmafa was able to determine those who would be killed if they went to war, and he would select the fighting force. And you would pass through his labs, and he would find out whether you will die or you'll be wounded. That's one of the ways we've lost a Yemafa. We have his bags. What they are in, we don't know. How they were used, they were made of what, we don't know. They're hanging here. Just the little we know what a Yemafa did as far as the war was concerned. If you be wounded, go for treatment. If you die, don't go. Go, you're all right, you can fight.
The Mankon people did ally with the Bafut people and are known to have fought two great wars against German colonization. They fought two wars against the Germans and their Bali allies, in which they won the first war. I'm told His Royal Highness that the Mankon Fundum has from time immemorial had a democratic setting, with division of powers, that's the judiciary, the legislative, and of course the executive powers with checks and balances. Briefly give the various traditional institutions in place the four: the traditional council, Kwifon, Kwatak Council, Takumbeng, and so on, and how they function.
Yes, that's what we are. In our traditional administration, the fund is the head of the governing organization. And we have people of the royal household and commoners. And the whole population is ruled by the Kwifon. And the Kwifon represents the ruling section, made of princes. And commoners and foreigners or slaves. There are two main groups.
Mankon is known to have had so many disputes over the years. His Royal Majesty with Ngembo, Balinkwen, and Songwa. What is the main cause of these conflicts, and how have you been trying to solve them, His Royal Highness?
Well, that is history. We are now surrounded by those people you name, and we all live in peace. We have little misunderstanding, particularly on land matters. The fundament is marked, and in case of trespass, today we negotiate. Informally, it's a question of breach that will bring war. We now discuss our differences.
Talk about peace negotiations. Do you think at any time the governments could reach such conclusions with the misguided ones trying to rob Cameroon of peace in the far north region? Can I pick up an example like you've done with these neighboring villages around Mankon?
Well, we are in a world of evolution. It is possible. We can resolve our differences by discussion or by give and take. It's possible.
Have there been any moments in the life of His Royal Majesty when he would have preferred not to be the fawn of the people of Mankon?
I never dreamt of it. I didn't like it. When I began going to school, I didn't like the way we lived. I think the prince he never knew that to live a good life you have to earn a living. We depended mostly on the assistance of the population to get food, to get even nimble drinks, and it was very regular to supply food to the palace, tap the mimbo to the palace, did the hunting. There was dried meat all and all. And we did not see life as something a prince should. Create what he wants. He must have what is given, and he will live an easy life. And to go to school, it was not very good for a prince to go to school because nobody was allowed to touch the prince. The teachers flock, and so you can't flock a prince. Who will be the next one? You may be flocking the next one. So no teacher should be able to talk, or to the extent of beating a prince. So in that way, I remember I was told, my father regretted it, when the Germans wanted the first school, German school built in Bali, the Germans wanted my grandfather to give him some children to take to the school. Only born children, he insisted. My father deceived him and gave pages and chindas. And my father only realized when they were grown up and they were men, it felt like Kizop. John Kizop was in Chinda here. Mm-hmm. And he comes from Bafashu. And he was one of those. My father said, is Didi your son? Yes. When Kizop became an interpreter and what was going on here, my father realized that there was a good reason for him to send his own son. But it's too late for him to send. Even his own children. We were many, too many for one man to educate. Mm-hmm. And to take one or two loved ones and send to school, you would scatter the parish.
Discrimination.
So there were too many. Mm-hmm. They wouldn't like you to send one and leave one, and to send any of the so many boys he had, and cannot support them in school. He loved it, but he couldn't do it.
And lucky enough, or maybe we'd say thank goodness, he had a son who was a self-made man. He was able to sponsor himself through education in Cameroon and Nigeria. He was not expecting to be the fawn of Mankon Fundum, but his fate would have its way. It comes to the intelligent ones and the ones who have the ability, capacity, and wisdom to handle people with different notions and perceptions of what we call life. The Mankon man, His Royal Majesty, is known to be very welcoming. And for Nangwafo, the second is known to have given out what is known as Hausa quarters today to settlers who came in from Nigeria. In your opinion, His Royal Majesty, has the Mankon man's hospitality been a blessing or a curse to the Mankon man when places like Atwaziri are being named today Meta quarters?
Well, when you talk of Atwaziri as Meta quarters, we have a boundary with Meta. It doesn't hurt much as it would if that was a quarter on the border of a boundary. But certainly, far from it, at one end of Mankon, we call it a quarter, Meta quarter. How do we have Meta village in Mankon? It doesn't sound any sense in that. But you know, what is the difference between Meta quarter and Atwaziri? The difference is that Meta quarter is imposed by a few Meta people who have settled in Mankon. It makes us perhaps think that to allow our neighbors or any Cameroonian to be in Mankon and be called a Cameroonian, there's a flaw in that. Because how do you, Madam, you come from Ndop. How can you have a Ndop quarter here? Baligumba quarter. How?
We just want to find out from His Royal Majesty the most spectacular and most colorful experiences he's had during his time of reign. He would love to share with the viewers inside and out of Cameroon.
I think the people would say more than myself. When you are in the race dancing or in the music dancing, the man who sees the steps you are moving and tunes the music or play the drums, they see it better than when you are busy dancing. But so it's been a very trying moment in my life to become a fan. And that is why I didn't know my father's will, but I was dancing foolishly in front of him, not to know what he's thinking about me until I was more or less arrested when I came home to sympathize with my family of his passing away, only to be arrested, more or less, and met his successor. And in fact, I insisted it for 2 years. I was a civil servant. I was told that I cannot be a king with a territory and a people, and yet be on the Queen of England. We can't share two kings in the same empire. I was to resign or go back to my work. So it was very difficult for me to miss the packets I earn every morning, every night, every day. The services I had, I was in charge of a womb division. I was a big man. I had people who helped me when there were no roads. I would did most of the tours with the labor force. People would take me out, they come back, they can help me at home. I work in the nurseries, and I started my little farm, so it was quite a good job for me. So all that was lost. Although my director said, as a fawn, they say, you are a fawn? I say, yes. A king? I say, yes. You have a territory? I say, yes. The people say, oh, then why are you refusing? For 2 years, you refused to resign. They said, they have paid you for 2 years. For doing what? He did something that made me change my mind and try to see whether I can do something. He told me, he said, look, You can be fond of your people with land. Teach them agriculture. It's the same thing you are doing. Must you only do it for the one people? You can't do it. I thought maybe I could make some additional work as a fund and teach my people some farming techniques that will improve their living style. Then I resigned after 2 years. I was here for 2 years. The head office in Bambui, the pay clerk came every month with my salary. But it wasn't only salary. To have money to run my station. There will be no money to run my fund. But this perhaps looks sensible. Then I resigned my appointment. And the only thing that I thought I could maintain is my job. I was finding a way of combining my agricultural techniques with my ruling to see how I can live. Thank God I am still talking after my resignation.
And the people of Mankon are so proud listening to you talk at this hour on LTM television. Just so you know, the story of my life as a springboard to delve into the instructive and eventful life of a living legend who is not only a down-to-earth character, I must confess, but also a mountain of a man who might have had the effect of making even men of average height feel like Lilliputians. The story of my life is a fascinating autobiographical account of a life rich in controversy, leadership, service, achievement, and innovation. Born 1925 into the prominent and influential royal family of Mankon in the Bamenda grass fields of Cameroon, His Royal Majesty Solomon Anyegamutu Ndefru least expected becoming king, only to find himself the chosen one following the death of his father in 1959. As Fonangwafo III of Mankon, one of the most educated traditional rulers at the dawn of independence, he succeeded into parliament first as an independent and subsequently as a member of the Cameroon National Union. He has served as first national vice president of Paul Biya's Cameroon's People Democratic Movement since 1990. And this unique, analytical and insightful reflection, years into his reign, Fonangwafo III discusses growing up in colonial times, his surprise appointment as king, the 1961 Cameroon plebiscite, and his initiation into politics. Being king and politician, coping with the hostility of the modern power elite towards his active involvement in politics, churches, schools, and politics, life as an agriculturist, and investments in turning the kingdom of Mankon. He argues that the best way of consolidating traditions is to make them modern, and that modernity can only make sense to the extent that it is firmly grounded in traditions. In many ways, ladies and gentlemen, His Royal Majesty Fonangwafo III feels his life encapsulates this negotiation and reconciliation of continuity and change. The reason why we're celebrating him on monuments today because he is a monument of the history of Cameroon and an example to emulate across the continent and the globe. We tender our microphone to very important personalities in the fondom or in the kingdom of Mankon, and they tell us what they make of his reign. We'll be right back. Standing in front of Atum, the heart of the Mankon Palace, it's a privilege to talk to one of the notables under the permission of His Royal Majesty Fonangwafo III, who will be telling us what he makes of the reign of this noble personality and a great leader. Hello, sir. What do you make of the reign of His Royal Majesty Fonangwafo III of the Mankon people?
It's highly distinguished because the Fon has lived 4 generations. And within these 4 generations, he incarnated the reasoning and the aptitudes throughout this generation. When he interacts with those of my generation, we have the same feeling that he is one of us. But you know, when you look at his age and his background, where he has come from, is pretty far. The Fon is so much wise. He's so much clairvoyant. Because when we speak the issues of development, his ideas about the things he sees and how the community should be today, I feel really elated because we share a lot of things on the same platform. I've worked with the Fon on question of issue of land governance. And when we share the discussion about it on land administration, I can see him really move throughout into the modern concepts which are actually reflected in international standards today. When we look at his perception on politics and engagement, it's also so clear. And he tells us, politics is not in the talking and it's in the doing, it's the engagement. You can't do politics without being involved. You look at how he integrates young people also into the leadership of Mankon. I, as one of the youngest notable, made in 2008, I say it's a direct call to service. Normally you expect title holders at the level where I am in the palace to be given in recognition for work done. But I actually had the title when I was just still showing what I am able to do. So asking me to join this circle is really a call to service.
Can you throw a word of encouragement to His Royal Highness Fonangwafo III in the language of the Mankon people?
Okay, no. Maswanga ntini ngote eto for Manko and it talk utsambo Manko and ngwa la ntini yigni shina be bigwitum koronka nzon mukumu for Manko mu bait and gotonka mu bi Cameroon.
Leaving Atim, we meet a female notable of the land of Mankon, commonly called Mafo. Mafo, what do you make of the reign of His Royal Majesty Fonangwafo III?
Just be a witness because I have my own mother, which is the queen of the palace, but I be one of the notable, the MTC. So, according to me, that's how my father, my uncle did all these things. He proved the Mankon people, he made the Mankon people to understand what is happening, what they can do, and so on and so forth. I see that it's intelligent fun. It bring the Mankon people, it make the Mankon people to grow strength by strength to strength. I don't know. So I think it's our father who make the Mankon people to cross liver. Thousand. Sang Manta. You will reign forever in Jesus Christ's name.
We celebrate a monument in the history of Cameroon. He's not only a traditional ruler, he is a politician who believes a lot in peace and development for the peoples in Cameroon. After talking about the traditional aspects of His Royal Majesty Fonangwafo III, we talk about his social life. His Royal Highness, you have been on the reign of the Mankon Fundum for more than 5 decades. And within these years, your fundum has been exposed to a lot of urbanization. How has this urbanization and modernization had an impact on your reign?
Well, as you see the world moving, I think we made a right decision to take life as the world moves. I thought one of my greatest problems I started with is that of education. I'm happy that the first secondary school I built in 1960, the Sacred Heart, and for the Catholics, and then PCC for the Presbyterian, and another college for the Baptists. was run by foreigners, foreign missions. Teachers were not Mankon. And women did not go to school. So in 1960, I decided that all children going to school, primary school, should be boys and girls. There should be no difference. Mm-hmm. And I started with my father's children. The children I met, the boys, the girls, I sent them to school. We've been struggling. Mm-hmm. And teachers were not from Mankon. So that was the mix. And you can have teachers from outside. They come with their families. So that was the beginning, mixing up. The church, the preachers were not Reverend Fathers from Mankon, pastors from Mankon. So there was already a mix. And we should find a way of living with others. And so we started, in fact, in almost community work and everything we did, involving everybody living in Mankon. We changed it, even marriage. You could marry the boy or the girl you like. It was forbidden for a prince or princess to marry outside Mankon. So all that, to me, has helped us a lot to appreciate even the present problem we are having in Cameroon. President is talking of peace, trying to avoid Boko Haram. We're living in a state of war. We have to be in peace. Mm-hmm. Much of our development is really halted because all the finances, most of the finances to be put in development are used by using armed forces, the equipment and all that. And you see friendly countries meeting with us, looking for a way of maintaining peace. So, socially, what matters to us is our customs and tradition. And I wish we had small schools like that. It will help us. But you can't be talking only of Cameroonians. There are Europeans, there are missionaries here, there are all that. So we want a university, but when you have the Archbishop here, those are men, rich men, and rich institutions, local institutions, are still primary schools and secondary schools. We need a university. Where's the money? And the will to have it is there. The government is to provide. But when I see government problems, if government does not tell us what their problem is, we see. The recruitment is more of soldiers, gendarmes, police. All this lead to defense. And whether in that way our people are there, we are present in the evolution. So it's all right. We are present there. If the change were imposed, we would have been fighting all along. Now the discourse, we have problems. What brought us war most of the time was land. But there's a new land law that's being tried. I think the government is taking the difficulties it's having because we still have skirmishes on that matter. Those can be eliminated by good laws, not by fighting. Socially, my daughters marry where they want, my children marry, boys marry where they want. it wouldn't have been so. So socially we're all right. And you know, Mankon is a city, a Bamenda city, named after the Germans. You know, the Germans came here. They were first in Bali. They had their station in Baliborg. And after the war, they had trouble within Bali. When the Mankon burned them, they said it was done by the Bali people. They were doubtful of the sincerity of the Bali people. And they have discovered the place now, Bamenda. They moved here and named their station in Bali. And they were perhaps preparing for more war. What they built there was a fort. And they were not too long. The World War broke out. And they lost the war and left this place. So, socially, we're moving on. Not at the pace I wanted, because with independence, it is the people who wanted independence to help themselves. And you need some support financially. You can't want the university, whatever you really wanted. Our children have suffered to go even overseas to be educated. And few in number. If we had a university here, it would be available to most of our children. So, what you want is what you can get by working for it. How do we work for it? So, socially we are all right. And if it's a government of discussion and so on, we can make our view known. We can appreciate the difficulties. And we cannot be, and we voted for independence. It was not imposed. And so such a marriage where there's an agreement of a boy and girl, there should be no difficulty that they cannot overcome. To blame your wife or to blame your husband for things going wrong when you agreed to be husband and wife, it's your fault. You should be able to find an answer. To agree, to disagree. So, that's how I joined the unification. I fought for it, I've had it. It has its problems. I even find that there's problems in Nigeria, where I was educated. There are problems in Europe. So, it's a world situation. And it's experienced at very many levels. The family level, the village level, fandom and so on. So, I think socially, we are uniting.
A lot more has to be done.
So, we're all right. Our problems are accepted. And for looking for solutions is our responsibility.
You've looked for so many solutions, and that's why education is prime and the fundum of Mankon. To tell you the truth, I am a product from Government High School Mankon. I'm also a product of Baptist High School Mankon. I was taught by many teachers from different villages that were teaching in the soil of Mankon. Growing up as a prince, as Royal Majesty, what were your dreams and aspirations? And do you have them fulfilled?
As a prince, I loved going to school. And the only school we had, all the large place, the Bamenda Government School, built in 1927. And a few other schools that the English tried to establish, the NA school. You have NA school NOP for the whole of the region. NA school Wofon for the whole of the region. Today you can count the schools, not in fingers, in tens. And so for primary schools, a village will have several primary schools now. Mm-hmm. For retired teachers, they are themselves building schools. So it's cheap, but in our time it was not easy. Mm-hmm. Now, I was lucky. My father said 3 of us were sent to school, to government school. They did well to say the fund should send children. The mistake, my grandfather taught my father a lesson. He sent 3 of us to school, gave chindas to carry our food and so on, to take us to Bamda station to attend the only government primary school in the division. 2 of us were admitted. One unlucky brother was not admitted. And I think the headmaster was wrong. 2 of us resembled our father very well. He had asked for 3 of your own Pekin. The man sent 3. One of our brother was really a brother, but he looked a little lighter and so on. And even his face didn't look like that. So he said, this one of Pekin, go. So we started. It was not easy to leave young, attend government school. Mm-hmm. So we had other problems, where to live and so on. Mm-hmm. And then we lived with several families there. At one time we was living with a tailor. At another time, in fact, what do you call Metakwata? We built. Some of us from this village built a small house, built our house, and lived there.
To attend school?
To attend school. And well, as luck would have it, the teachers to help me, because at the time I was in standard 4. We were building the school ourselves. We came down to cut bamboos to build the school. And I had the headmaster of the school was from Nigeria, a Calabar man. He observed the way we were doing. He got interested in me. Because in 1937, my father won a contract to feed prisoners in the Bamenda prison. Because there were many. Mm-hmm. When you see us going to sell cocoyam or a long line of children, the man was interested. Mm-hmm. The deal, one.
And you assisted him in the production?
Yeah, one deal came to market and would see us with a small baskets from line and line. Say, what? Where is it? Where is this from? This is one man's children. I said, what is the man? So many. From there, he came to know our father and said, you produce a lot of food with cocoa yams. This house is named Plantain House. So,
why, His Royal Majesty? Is that where plantains were stocked for sale?
Yes, rotten. What do we do with it? So the man said, can you feed prisoners? He agreed. He gave him contract. Mm-hmm. At that time, I was a builder.
Is that where you developed your interest for the agricultural industry?
Exactly. So we were selling food through the contract there. It was in 1937. Mm-hmm. And by the time I was big enough to see what we wanted, my father removed the clerk, the man who was giving the prison rations, and said I should do it. So I lived in the Tuazere, go to school up every day, and the prison was there. I was given 4 workers. They were carrying food. I go in the morning. If I didn't supply meat or whatever, before I go to school. In the afternoon, I leave the government school. I go to the prison yard. Major to give me the ration. There was 4 people to assist me, carry the food from here. The whole family to carry the plantains, the bananas, and the bitter leaves, the jam, anything to the prison yard. We had a big store. I did all that. My headmaster was very interested in what I was doing. After school, he followed me to the prison. I sat down watching what I was doing. That's where I got my luck to cross over to Nigeria. We had believed at that time that I can't go to Nigeria and come back alive. The Igbo chop people, they will be eaten. And so my headmaster came from Nigeria, from Calabar, and some Igbo teachers. So he urged me to write entrance examination to a college in Nigeria. I said, I have no money. I wrote. I passed. Then came the difficulty. Where's the money? I said, I have no money. I told him I wouldn't have money to go. He said, you must go. Who's your father? Where's your father? That's how Adego de la Boune used to speak. He said, my father is the phone down here in Mankon. He said, I want to see him. We came down to see my father. That's why I got my luck. He told my father he would be reporting my father to the government, to the DO. And my father will be taken to court. The magistrate will try my father for refusing to send me to school. He said he had no money. He said, this boy goes to hospital, to prison every day to give ration every day. So he's been working. He said, yes. He says, your son? He said, yes. Did you pay him? He said, oh, how can one be paying a son for what they're doing for the father? He said, the man who, before your son took over, the man who doing well, didn't you pay him? He said, I paid him. He said, how much was he paying? He said, I was paying him. He said, no, you didn't pay this. Okay, pay this boy the same amount of money you are paying that man. If you don't do so, I'll take you to the jail. And he conferred with my Mafo. When Mafo came back, Mafo was the brain behind our success. Taking all our mothers to the farm, she controlled our agriculture. And he went back from here. We checked from government school with they go get the labo to see my father. I promised my father hard times if I didn't go. So when Mafo came back from farm, he narrated a story to Mafo. Said, we are in trouble. This man, disease, or some man came here and said this and so. I may likely be going to court because we have not sent this boy to college. He said, well, if I don't go, he will report me to the court and I'll go to prison. Then the sister, Mankon, said, well, we'll let him go. We'll allow him go. You can't suffer like that. That was my luck. Okay. So I loved agriculture. I had seen the value of food when I worked as a clerk. My father's contract. Since then, I loved agriculture. And in those days I came to school to look for warders, to look for clerks, to look for forest guards and so on. Several people came, wanted me. I said, no, I will do agriculture. So when I went to Nigeria, in 1945 there was a Nigerian railway strike. The money they sent to me got lost. I had nothing. I suffered. Luckily, it was one of my teachers here who saw me. He said, oh, big head, what do you want here? I said, I'm in college. He said, what? No money coming. I had a problem there. Luckily, the man gave me a piece of land. I did. For my last year in school, I farmed, grew yams to pay my fees. And that, before I left and came here, I decided agriculture. And I applied for admission in Lagos. Mr. Scriveno accepted an appointment. Then I went to Ibadan, did my training. I was very happy when I was employed and sent back here. Just 10 years after, I lost my job and became farm. But I didn't stop agriculture. I stopped working for the government. I was now working for myself and my people.
For most of your reign, the best place I am told I can find you is on your farm. And I don't think we are going to deny it from the testimonies you've made a short while ago. Apart from keeping busy and being hardworking, His Royal Majesty, what are the secrets that keeps you strong and young?
I grew up like that. I think only God knows what happened, why I was healthy to do all that. But, you know, to do agriculture does not mean I have to do all the hard work.
The toiling.
I have to do the planning. I've understood, I've been trained to produce food, to keep animals and so on. I have to make that knowledge available to my people. I have to make sure that the soil was properly used. And I had to pass a few royal acts forbidding burning and all those things. So, and supervise the fawn farming, the wooden farm like. For a fawn to be a farmer doesn't mean he carry a hoe going all that. He has to draw up the programs, he has to implement those things he wants the people to do. So I had set up some chindas to visit the farms and report around the world, and I sanctioned them. That's all.
Thanks. If you're just joining us, you are celebrating the life of a noble monument in the history of Cameroon across the continent of Africa and an example to emulate in the world like you all celebrated Madiba years ago. We'll be right back for more on Monuments episode 04 after the short break. Welcome back. You're watching Monument 04 Live on LTM television, and we celebrate the history, a historical monument, I beg your pardon, from the founding of Mankon. He grew up as a prince. He had so many dreams and aspirations, but he also had interest in what he wanted to use to develop his community. And we can bet you he is successful with that, because the hectares of land exploited in the agricultural development for the development and emergence of the Mankon land, thus Cameroon. You will have noticed that the two biggest markets in the Northwest region are in the town of Mankon, and most of the crops are farmed by the Mankon people. And many people feed from these markets, not only people from Mankon, people from different villages in the Northwest region, and even out of the region, and even across the continent. We'll continue talking about the social life, and we'll delve a little bit in politics, because I know you all are so itchy to know who was this man before pre-independence, who is he after reunification, and whether or not he was happy of the February 20, 2014 celebration of the 50th anniversary of Cameroon's reunification at Bongo Square in the Southwest regional capital of Oya. We continue with you, His Royal Majesty, Fanangwafo III of the Mankon Fundum. How have you been able to navigate 37 as a traditional ruler to reconcile tradition and modernity?
I maintain my tradition, and it's an evolution. Times are changing, and the tradition changes with time. I've accepted change, and I try to discuss change with my population, and they accept those changes we're introducing. And as you're talking about market, the bigger market we had here was the Tat market in Mbengwe. And for my people to go to Mbengwe and Kaza, I built the Mankon market, Bamanda market. For the market, the people traded on oil and from this and all. And I brought the market nearer, and the traders too came nearer. So traders from Mbengwe are now here, and from other villages around. Traders from the east are now here. So for that, I knew from the fact that my father was a contractor who got money by selling food, I thought if we had, the small market we had was in the housing sector. Then I had to build a modern market. Mm-hmm. Got a loan for that. So the prince and princess have to go to farm. I stopped the idea of spoon feeding the fawn and his family. I introduced the way forward is for us to also to produce. I also stopped having a large family, because you wouldn't believe me that my father married more than 100 wives. And that is why he had the problem of even sending us to school, and suffered himself. So when you know the problems, you look for a solution. I had to discuss with the kingmakers some of the problems, some of the situations I met, which are not good for the modern world. I had lived in Nigeria, I've lived a life with smaller families. I know the cost of education, and my father left a lot of children for me to educate. If I did not reduce the size of my family, I would perhaps, I thought I may have to leave this place, keeping the same problem for my successor. So I reduced the size of my family. All the changes I introduced were discussed by the kingmakers, with the kingmakers, and the population accepted them. So it was easy for me to move forward with the people.
We continue to celebrate His Royal Majesty Fonongwafo III of the Mankon people. We take a few questions and contributions from the people who are they're so inspired by the reign of His Royal Majesty Fonongwafo III inside and outside of Mankon. We take this one on our Twitter handle coming from Fred Awoma Achanda, all the way from Canada. He would like to know this from His Royal Majesty. He says, as an elite and educated foreign, His Royal Majesty, your experience in the Norwefu is enormous. Based on that, what do you think is the major problem affecting community development in the Northwest region?
The biggest problem is the fact that we now have a government responsible for development, roads, what. Without the money, the people who now want the government to do things because they have the money. The government hasn't the money. So what we did in community development was very clear to everybody that if we did not dig our road, who is going to dig? Even the primary schools we started, community work. But today, as many of those my colleagues, the old gone traditional rulers who worked with me are no more. Their children are insisting that government should finance the projects. The government has the money. The idea that we have got independent, the idea that we now have our government, we now pay heavy taxes, so government should do it. It's just the idea. Really the money is not there. But the stage we have reached is that the government that rules and has the money, and the societies mix the poor and the rich. The people in government seem very rich. The people in the village are so poor. They think that they are keeping the money to themselves, and they are doing that and neglecting the commoner. And so the commoner doesn't see why they let people who go and chop all the money and come back to them to continue to work as their fathers and mothers worked in those days. That's the thing. Otherwise, in fact, without the government elected and the money they have, we would have had more community development people. The people would have known that without that, they can go forward. And I started with community development. The roads, even talking of going from the commercial avenue, I did it by community. Crossing into the house of quarter. My father did it by community. Since when the English were here, we were attached to the eastern region of Nigeria. When we were mandated territory, Nigeria was not doing anything for us. And that is one reason why we left Nigeria to join the people of the East. So even in Mankon here, most of the roads, I did the community work. At the start, it was a good thing. But now, they see, we have a rich government. And the government council, the ministers are like the traditional councillors working with the fund. They look rich. And then the spirit of community work facts, and it's almost dead now.
On social media, this time from Facebook, Michel Fon is joining us all the way from the United States of America. He would like to find out from His Royal Majesty the added value he's been the second personality in the chaotic CPDM political machine has brought to the Njuk people. He is supposed to be a traditional ruler too. And he would like to find out if His Royal Majesty Fonangwafo III has brought good roads, pipe-borne water, hospitals, medicine for Tinkat Health Center, schools, just to name but these. He's a son of the soil.
Well, he's naming some of the things in rural Mankon. And he thinks that they're done is to do through my influence as a member of the ruling party. Yes, but as I've said, there are quite lots of things we could do. They are on the plan. But where's the means? We could bring more if we had the money.
We have another question from Afunto Awasum. He's also in the US of A. He'd like to find out what has been done at the ground level in Mankon to build youthful leadership and encourage capacity building at all levels, devoid of who do you know and whose child are you or who is your father or mother. Because he says that in your time when they were still in Mankon, over the years, things have slowed down and there is this leadership vacuum in Mankon, just like in Cameroon, because the old people do not retire, nor is there a tradition of inculcating leadership skills on the younger generation. Look at our civil and political leadership in Mankon these days. How many people can stand up and be counted for real talent and not those who have been handpicked by the powers that be, regardless of whether they possess leadership skills or are ordained by the people they claim to represent? So what is being done at the ground-based level in Mankon to build youthful leadership and encourage capacity building at all levels, devoid of who do you know and whose child are you or who is your father or mother? He ends by saying, Miaka.
When he talks of handpicking leaders, yes. In Mankon tradition, we do not elect all the leaders. Some of the leaders are handpicked. And in Mankon tradition, you have to be a Mankon man. So, if he's referring to that, I put it, and he seems to be a Mankon man. Even whether it's by selection or by election, the candidate must put up himself. I asked him for over 50 years of the Sacred Heart, the Catholic school, the Presbyterian secondary school, the Baptist school, and all that school. We have produced a lot of young men who are either at work or they are retired from service. Where are they? They are so personally inclined. They don't have the spirit the retired or the dead rulers had. Love for country. They have love for money. Some are in America, some are in Europe. Why do they prefer the lifestyle of America and Europe? Not here. These people, the new leadership should come from Mankon, and they should be available here. Those children are produced for my 50 years, who are degree holders after some 30 years or 40 years, or are retired from public service. Where are they? They should present themselves for selection. If they're talking in America or talking in Europe, that is a class we should pick from their performance, from their acceptance of our spirit to work for the development of Mankon and not for money. They want to work for money. We have no money. But the retired people, the old people, the late people who worked with me never had pay. No retired man who had allowances and pay would work with me because I'm not paid. I have no pay at all. It is my sweat that pays me. The present generation want to work under a director, a proprietor, who has money. I'm not a businessman, but I'm a developer. Let them join me. Come home. It is our place. If you inherit a poor society, you have to use the society to change themselves. The poor people have to grow rich by working, not by admiring other rich people and leaving their own poor place to go and join and live in a place where the people pay. We don't pay. Community development has been our main source of financing our projects. As you see, community development, everybody wants money now. And we need money to change Mankon. We were having the money. The people should work. They should sacrifice. Those people who are Mankon people, they stand on top of the tree, they're waiting for fruits to fall. That is why I'm here. If I wanted money, I wouldn't be here. Of course, I would have retired. Mm-hmm. But I sacrificed to here. Mm-hmm. The little I've done is a sacrifice. I've not been paid for. Mm-hmm. I with my children should make the same sacrifice, but they're outside.
So you cannot sit on top and want to bear out, maybe.
And to be in politics is to participate in the development, to know what is cooking there, to know that the means are not there. It's because I'm in politics.
And the reason why we're celebrating your monuments, because you are monuments in the history of Cameroon.
I know the problem I'm solving is not made by anybody. The party itself is in trouble. The head of the party is in trouble. You can see we're all heads of state and Yaoundé thinking how to get money to finance ammunition, payment of the soldiers, buying trucks, buying aeroplanes. When you are independent, you have to make yourself rich or poor. But if you are independent and you want another person to come build your house, and our friendship with America, France, or Britain had brought us nothing. It's only the knowledge they acquired that should be used here. Here.
Not abroad.
No. The life we live here, those who have acquired knowledge should live the life here. If they don't like the life, they work to improve it.
We're just going to take this last one from Swiri in the UK. She would like to know the achievements and challenges of being a political figure and a traditional ruler.
There's a big difference. A politician works with a party with a policy. Traditional ruler rules his people according to the customs and traditions of his people. Our source of money, even for food, the greatest tools we have are cutlasses and hoes. and our bank is the soil. I'm on it. Those of my elites who have been trained to do mathematics, calculations and get money, you should employ that knowledge at home. Say in agriculture, those engineers to build house should come to Mankon, mold the blocks and build a house. An engineer, however effective as an engineer, will not use his pen and dig a road. And that is why we are making friends with Europe, with America, that they give us loan, they will give us this, and they have given us some money, and we are fighting with that money, their money. The guns we are using are European guns, are American guns. We don't produce guns. I don't have different thing than the hoe I've been using for over 50 years. But I could make bigger farms with tractors. Where's the tractor? If I got a tractor from Europe, America, the conditions they put there are only to make me labor and send the money I gave from my effort back to them to pay for the tractor they have given to me, or to pay their own labor.
Let's talk about your political life. You are one of the earliest politicians of this country. How did you get into politics, His Royal Majesty? And would you say that your political activism, or maybe your personal relationship with the number one personality of the Republic of Cameroon, His Excellency Paul Biya, has reaped a fair share of the national cake for the Mankon people?
That is the wish of my people. The biggest share of what?
Of the national cake.
Where is the cake? Would it be fair that I take my position to divert a greater share of the national cake to Mankon? It's a national cake. If the national cake is small, then the share is small. I'm having the national cake. The national cake is not a Mankon cake. It's the cake of the nation. And to share it, as a good politician, it should be to the nation. I should not divert it to Mankon. So what I brought from Mankon is a share of the national cake. And since the national cake is small, I've brought only a small bit of the cake to Mankon.
Former West Cameroon, His Royal Majesty, had a rich and democratic political system with parties, early politicians like yourself, John Gufoncha, Solomon Tandeng Mona, Tumaza, just to name but these. Give us a brief narrative of the role you played with these individuals in the politics of that time.
It is necessary that the foreign Mankon should know what these individuals, the parties, Foncha's party, Tumaza's party, and Ndere's party, are doing for the interest of the country. If you stand away from them, you can't make any contribution. If you stand away from them, you are an ignoramus. When you are ignorant of things, you talk about them, you're talking in the air. If I have to say something from inside the group, I will make sense. What I'm talking about myself, my people. If I'm sharing something, I should be inside the group. They don't want me to see what they're cooking. My people know that. That is why they send me in as an independent. Go and see what is happening there. And I have gained from the decision of my people. So, a traditional ruler who does not, who sits down, he doesn't go to politics. the politician had taken all his people, and they're talking politics with his people. With traditional rulers, without his people, you cannot rule if you don't know what is in the cooking. And that is why I went into politics as an independent. In the interest of my people. They wanted me to represent them. And if you don't talk the truth, the politician will deceive you. So the traditional rulers are better. He should be a better politician because he has his people. The politician takes away the people from the traditional ruler, gives them nothing, but tells them a different thing from what is there in the cabinet. So that is why a traditional ruler should do politics. Because it's an evolution. The traditional ruler, the traditional leader is the ruler of the population, time immemorial. If there's anything to come good out of that system, it must come through evolution. When you kick the traditional ruler out and take the people, what is he ruling? So the moment is a compromise, or you have to merge traditional rule with political rule. If the merger is well done, it will be all right.
What was your role on the plebiscite, His Royal Majesty? And is it true that people were ferried in from Buda to come and vote?
Very untrue. Very untrue. I've told, by 1922, there was trouble in East Cameroon. They called it Njokmasi, and some of the people escaped into Mankon. The French administrators came to our deal here to get the people to go back. My father said, no. If there's a problem, it is between you European nations. It doesn't concern. These men from Kongsamba, where we go and trade, what have they done for us? Why should we drive them? No, he will not drive them away. You see? If at the plebiscite the number of strangers from the East had grown, had increased, and if we now decide to leave the present the organization of Cameroon as a mandated territory to become an independent territory. If the French here are voting with us, they are not imported. They are not transported. Even the politics, British politics, take for instance, Antumaga was agreeable with Mimon. The politicians from the East who were campaigning here, as well as Ntumaza and Foncha, were campaigning in the East. So it was not the role, the electoral role was good. It was not forged or mixed with people coming to vote here. No, we didn't add a voters list with people there.
We have barely 3 minutes to go, His Royal Majesty, and I'd like to take these two questions in one, and I hope that we'll conclude this show while opening the minds of Cameroonians who are ignorant of history. Reuniting with the Republic to Cameroon as compared to Nigeria might have been a better option. What if there was a third option of independence for southern Cameroons? Do you have any regrets about the reunification process? And we understand, His Royal Majesty, that you were present in Fumban. Some people today say that those of you from West Cameroon had your hands tied and could not have done better. What really happened during the Fumban conference?
When you are living your life on regrets, you will never live well. If our children think we didn't do well, they may be right. What we have done since then to bring you up to be thinking this way is an achievement. If the population is better educated and better experienced, and they see certain things that they don't like, and they blame it on their leaders of 50 years ago, they are not serious. Because in the next 50 years, they will blame you for what you are doing now. Take the bull by the horn. So we did our best. Those people were French people. They had their own civilization. We were English people. We had our own. But the problem, if there's a problem, is a problem in the United Nations, not here. Because we wanted, from the three options, we wanted three options. Cameroon to gain its independence and be an independent territory. Then that's what we call Southern Cameroon. It was an option. We had people who presented that option in the United Nations. It was rejected. So we're crying over spoiled milk. And when we went to Fumban, well, the young men tell you the reception was good. And so when I hear you made a good party for us, and got your type, got good girls to entertain and serve us, they thought we went there to dance with the girls. That is not it. That's not it. If I were to give you an reception here, my daughters come to serve you. The whole thing turns to my daughters serving you because I came to show you my daughters. It is not so. Among ourselves, there were we will have misunderstanding. But it is not that misunderstanding we blow. Take, for instance, Foncha. That was a mediator. That was the head of government. You go to a conference when this government prepares a paper, this government prepares a paper. You put the two papers. They may have the same items. You discuss them. Select one, throw the other. We made an effort in Mankon here, the cultural hall, which is now library. We met. We took some resolutions. Foncha was our leader, our head of government. He was to present that we argue in Fumban. He did not present that paper. He was not talking with that paper. That's just where we quarreled. So Ahiju was reading his own, and with this, we are examining Ahiju's own. Where is our own? Joa was very bitter about it, but that is our leader. What we resolved here, we ourselves did not get back the copies. We think we will have prepared for it. All our views were given to the leader. Had what we decided here been secreted to members attending the conference, we can begin to talk. If I say, Foncha, as Jah did it, just spoke there. I was sitting here. Once I say, if you like, you go back, you tell the people I've not done what we decided to do. So was that the thing to go back there and come back with quarrel? Follow your leader. We did our best. If our best does not suit you 50 years later, wait your best today will not suit the people 50 years to come.
Thanks so very much, His Royal Majesty, for giving us the opportunity to celebrate a monument of your caliber and the history of Cameroon. One last word to the people of Mankon watching us inside and outside of Cameroon during this era of multi-party politics in Cameroon.
What? Tell them I am still serving them as their friend and as a politician and as a human being. 50 years and more on the throne here. They should be around me. I want to hand over, not on paper. Walk with them, they see what I'm doing. Take a few I have, add to what they have. We build Mankon. I don't want them to go and stand on treetops looking at Mankon. For me, when I've reached the standard they want, then they come and settle. No. I've come here to change Mankon. I have changed Mankon. That is why they are able to live and go to university and get jobs there. If I retire before they come, no. We hand over. The fund hands over to his people. He does not give a written hand over to the people. Let them come. Tell them, I've done. If I've done the best I have done. And I expect them to work with my own program, to build their own program. I don't want to write handing over notes before they come and take. Where are they? We have to build Mankon handing groups. The Mankon they want is not the one they have here. The Mankon they want is the one all of us have to be. So let them come. You retired after 30 years of work. I've worked 50 years, I've not retired. You go and say, asking me to come. You retire, come and join me. Come and join in building Mankon. Traditionally, we don't write handing over notes. I take my family to farm. You take yours to farm. Why do they leave me alone to come and find out? Let them come. I think we are doing better. And our failure, our success, should be compared with countries in the 60s that got independence with us. I was a Nigerian to become a Cameroonian at independence. I think I'm more satisfied here. Perhaps if I were in Nigeria, it wouldn't be the same. So our efforts should be measured to the other countries that had independence in the 60s. Are we not doing well?
You're doing absolutely well.
We're doing very well. We're solving our problems. We're facing the bull by the horn. So, if my son wants or my daughter wants to be employed, there's employment in the soldier. in the police, in the gendarme, because we are at war. What should I say? Other countries the same. So comparatively, we're doing better. Home is home. Mankon is a beautiful home. Tell Mankon children, whether here or there, this is your birthplace, come and build it. If you just an onlooker, seeing which place is better to go and live there, you are not Mankon. So let them come. Come and see what I'm doing with those who are here with me and join us. Don't stand and look. Is it good for me to go in? God did not decide that you go only for the best. You were born Mankon. And you have grown up full Mankon. If the bird does not see fruit on the tree, flies to another tree. No, here we cannot live over here. And they're taking over, and they should not want my notes you send to them. No. We want a change. It's an evolution. Continuous. Let them come. We change this place. Let them bring their own program. See what we are doing home. Let us join our hands, our brains, to build Mankon.
Yakambi.
Thank you.
Celebrating intelligence, wisdom, hard work, nobility, humility, and development, we've been talking to His Royal Majesty Fonangwafo III of the Mankon Fundum, live from Top in Mankon Tinkak, Mazam Division of the Northwest Region in Cameroon. Take the same rendezvous, same time on the same channel as we celebrate another monument in the history of Cameroon.